So Dylan, the new single "Nobody," I mean, it's doing so well at the minute on the American country charts. I know you co-wrote it with Dallas Wilson and Matt Alderman, inspired by your wife Blair. I mean, what can you tell me about the writing and recording of this song?
Yeah, it's one of those songs. We do a lot of writing. I do a lot of writing, and I'm usually the first person to tell you, I don't like this song I just wrote. But this one here, I knew from the moment we started. I was like, man, there's something really special about this. It was just simple. It's a simple song. It's a very catchy melody. We wrote this on the back of the bus. I don't know what town we were in, but we were in the back of the bus one night and we started this song. And I just remember being really excited about it. I was jumping on the couches back there, just pumped up for this song. But I think it's what I really love about it the most is the fact that it's so simple and it's so catchy. There's nothing you have to really think about. It just kind of comes at you and you get it all. And the fact it's about my wife. I've got a lot of songs about my wife.
So Nobody obviously features on a six-track EP you released back in 2019 called Nothing to Do Town. But I want to ask you about, because it's interesting that in the same year you decided to release An Old Memory, which was an EP of songs originally recorded by your own musical hero, Keith Whitley. You recorded this at the famous Sound Emporium in Nashville. Some of Keith's old studio musicians played on it. You even recorded Tell Laurie I Love Her with Laurie Morgan, which is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, this must have just been such an exciting project to make.
It was, man. I can tell you how the project came about. We went into a meeting prior to all this, obviously, and I wanted to do an album of nothing but just older country covers of anybody. And I realized it was the 30th year anniversary of Keith Whitley's passing. And I'm such a huge fan of Keith Whitley. I mean, he shaped my musical career for me. And I realized that and I said, hang on. I said, what if we just do a tribute album to Keith Whitley with some of my favorite Keith Whitley songs? And everybody jumped on board and loved it. And they took it even a step further with, like you said, getting Laurie Morgan in there to sing Tell Laurie I Love Her. I got Keith Whitley's son, Jesse, in there to do some backgrounds, using the same studio Keith used to use, using some of his old band members. I mean, it was really an experience for me. I mean, the project's one thing, but the whole experience of getting all that and doing that really meant a lot to me. Hearing those old stories of Keith Whitley that have never been told, but they were told by the band and by Laurie, and all that stuff was really cool. But I think the project turned out incredible, and it's one of them projects that's timeless that I can listen to and be excited about forever.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have seen footage of you, be it even on YouTube, during concerts of, performing classic country songs by acts like Nitty Gritty Dirt Band and George Strait. The fact that An Old Memory was just so well received, has that maybe now sort of influenced your sound or direction moving forward, that you can go that more, maybe lean heavier on that traditional sound?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a lot of variables to that. Just there's other artists coming into the format who have taken a chance. It's like, you know what, I'm going to be a little more old school with my sound, and it's working. And that's exciting to me because I grew up on that old school country music and I love it. At the same time, I love what's happening currently in country music as well. I love the current flair, the current sound. But I think it's cool that you can have the current sound and throw it back a little bit and people still love that. And that's what I've noticed at my shows. You talk about doing that throwback stuff. There could be kids in the front row who are 11, 12 years old who actually know those older songs, the older Keith Whitley songs. And they also are there obviously for the newer stuff as well. So that means a lot to me as an artist. It's like, all right, cool. They know the older stuff. Let's keep giving it to them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have worked a lot with legendary producer Jim Ed Norman, and I know over the years he seems to have worked with everybody who's anybody. I mean, Eagles, Kenny Rogers, Garth Brooks. What have you learned from working with him?
So Jim Ed, man, I've learned a lot from him. He's just a great guy. He's a fun guy. And when he gets in the studio, he just likes to tell stories. I mean, he's talking about his time with the Eagles and, talking about being the head of Warner Brothers Records and dealing with Shania Twain and all that and how she did this and they did that. And it's cool to hear those stories, man. So what's cool to me is how much fun he can have making the music and still getting it done the way at the caliber he gets it done. So he's become a really great friend of mine, man. I've known him for years. And I learned a lot from him.
So you're originally from Beekman, Louisiana. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, according to the notes on your website, it's described as the middle of nowhere, like a 20-minute drive from the nearest small town. Tell me about sort of, I know sort of growing up, you sang in the church, which must have been hugely influential, but do you remember the stage in life when you thought, okay, music, this is what I'm going to pursue?
Not really, man, because I'm gonna tell you why. My dad was in the business back in the day. He played music. I grew up literally playing music in my house, thinking that was a normal thing, just playing guitar and playing piano and singing with my dad. And I mean, by the time I was old enough to realize, oh, this isn't normal, not everybody sings, everybody does this, I'd already made my mind up that I'm going to move to Nashville and I'm going to play music because that's what my dad did. And I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. So music was just, there was never just a moment I'm like, oh, I'm going to play music for the rest of my life. It was just, that's just what I was brought into. And I honestly couldn't imagine doing anything else, really. I mean, I made good grades in school. I could have went to college, but I never had plans for going to college. I planned on graduating, moving to Nashville and trying to chase this crazy, crazy dream.
Hmm. So you moved to Nashville at 19, which must have been wild to go from where you were to that exciting city at such a young age. Um, your father, you mentioned him there, and I know he played with guitar for people like Freddie Fender and Freddie Hart. Did he ever at any point, as somebody who would have experienced the highs and lows of being a musician in such a competitive city, did he ever at any point try to maybe put you off or explain to you the harsh realities? No?
No, he never tried to deter me from moving to Nashville, but my dad was very, and still is. He's very real. He told me straight up, he's like, look, he's like, I had to sleep in my vehicle some nights. I slept on, friends' couches. And I mean, my dad gave the whole dream up and moved back to Louisiana to start a family. So he told me, it's tough. The one thing he told me was, it's not an overnight success. That's what he used to tell me, and I didn't understand it at the time, but I get it now. I mean, I moved up there at 19 and I did not have success until I was 25 years old. And even now, from 25 to 30, I've had a couple of hits, a couple of top 40s, a couple of top 30s, which is great. But it's still a lot of work. It still kind of moves slow. Like, it's not overnight success. You have to get up there and you have to work. And that's what my dad taught me. He's like, look, you don't just get a record deal and all of a sudden you become a superstar. It's not the way it works. So I'm thankful for that. But he never told me, oh, you shouldn't do this, son. Like, you shouldn't go do that. My parents were the type where whatever I wanted to do, they were going to back me 100%. And I think that's cool.
I have to ask you about your first ever number one, My Girl, because it's a song that went into rotation on our station Downtown Country when it was released, and it's still spinning. It's one of those
Yeah.
timeless songs. I know you co-wrote it with the incredible Josh Kerr. Again, another song inspired by your wife Blair. Tell me a bit about how this song came together, would you?
Yeah, so I still remember the day like it was yesterday. Josh and I were in the writer's room, had nothing to write about, man. I mean, it was one of those days where you're like, man, I have writer's block. Like, I don't know I can't, we're on nothing. And then all of a sudden we start riffing on the sound of My Girl. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And I just started throwing stuff out there. And I'll tell you where it came from. A week prior to that, my wife and I think we were riding around in Louisiana somewhere, and she started rapping. She started rapping to Eminem, the artist Eminem. And my wife's super shy. Like, I've never really heard her sing because she's not that kind of person. But she starts rapping this Eminem song, and it was Lose Yourself. And I thought, okay, she's just going to rap a little bit of it. No, she rapped like the whole first verse and chorus, like word for word. And I'm just like, that's kind of hot, honestly. I was young back then. I was like 19 years old. I was like, man, that was really hot. And so I remember in the room, I was telling Josh about it. And so that's where the line in the song, I love it when she raps to an Eminem song, comes from. And without that line, I probably wouldn't even have My Girl, which is crazy to think about now. But yeah, that's one of them days, man, where we had nothing to write about. Writer's block, couldn't think about anything. And all of a sudden, boom, we just got inspired by that. And never would have thought it'd be my first number one song. I really didn't. But a lot of people related to it, which is cool.
Wow, it is literally a song that's gone all over the world at this point. Just finally, Dylan, for a guy who would normally spend so much time on the road, with lockdown, then of course forcing you to stay at home with your wife and your two very young children, has that been, in a way, a bit of a blessing?
It's been a huge blessing, man, for me. I'll be honest with you. And that's the way I've looked at this whole pandemic. So, I mean, you can get down, you can think negative things, obviously, because I haven't worked in a year, and that's tough. As the man of your house, the person that supports your family, you got to work, But I didn't let that get me down, man. I just looked at it from a standpoint of, okay, I'm about to take a break. I'm going to enjoy this time with my kids. My son's 3 years old. My daughter's a little over a year. They're growing so quick right now. And when I'm out on tour, I do get to spend a good bit of time at home, but I miss a lot too. I'm missing 4, 5 days at a time. Then I'll come home for a couple. So I'm missing a lot. So it has been a blessing to spend this time with my family. We've actually spent a lot of time in Louisiana seeing family that I would never get that time to spend. So in that aspect, it's been a blessing, but I cannot wait to get back on the road, touring again, seeing everybody, playing the new music. I've got a single right now, man. It's over here on the country charts. It's like top 10. And I've yet to be able to perform it for a big, huge live crowd, which is crazy. So we're looking forward to getting back out.
It's interesting though, without the ability to get out and play the song, it's got that longevity where it's still climbing, it's sticking around, man.
Yeah, and I mean I'm thankful for that as well because I mean I could have nothing going on right now, no touring, no song on the charts, no songs on the radio. So I mean, man, I don't know. I'm blessed to be able to sing country music and still have some stuff going on even through some times like this. And I've got a new album that's done. It'll be out soon, so I got new music coming. I'm excited about.
Cool. Well, we look forward to hearing that. Listen, thanks very much for giving me some time. Continued success. And listen, we look forward to the day when you're standing on a stage over here in Ireland.
Oh yeah, we'll be over there, man. We were before the pandemic. We were trying to work on okay, where are we going overseas? I've never been over there, and I'm excited to come over. My wife will not let me go over without her, so I'm sure I'll bring the family. But we're excited.
Well, man. Cheers. Listen, thanks very much. Take it easy.
Absolutely. Thanks, Stuart.
See ya.
All right.